Uganda in the post-Amin years has come a long way. The vicious dictatorships of the past are gone. There is democracy, and a fragile recovery is underway. The government has made some smart decisions. In 1991, it started asking the Asians to come home, offering those who were banished their property and businesses back. It has been a stunning reversal of policy and an admission of failure.
So why did the new government change the rules? Simple, really, the economy. Uganda had suffered without the Asians and their smart and successful business know-how.
If you want your economy to recover, you should remember that there are people who run the economy of this country. Why not allow them to come back and participate in the recovery of the economy? Then too, I think President Museveni knew and still knows that these Asians were Ugandans. Most of them, the majority that were expelled were Ugandans. These properties belonged to them. So he had to come and give it to them. And of course, there must have been pressure from the international communities.
Muhammad Huda was only 5 years old when his family was kicked out of Uganda. They lost everything, including their rose farm. When he returned, nothing was the same.
Basically, this whole entire place was bush. The houses behind here were all dilapidated. The factories had goats inside, chickens, half the roofs were not existent. And we basically had to go in and rebuild.
And rebuild he did with great success. Muhammad is now a millionaire. While he's glad to be back, he's blunt about the mess the country was and is still in.
Uganda lost everything. The place was called the Pearl of Africa. It was absolutely fantastic. There were perfectly manicured lawns. The streets were fantastic. The country was beautiful. But at the end of the day, forget all the aesthetics. There was an immense brain drain here. The hospitals have gone to, the dogs, so to speak. The education system was bar none, and now it is basically non-existent. It is going to take probably 2 more generations just to rebuild the society here as a whole.
Thousands of Asians, like Muhammad Huda, have returned to Uganda to reclaim property. Many have done well. But as I walk through downtown Kampala, I'm puzzled by the fact I rarely see any. There are virtually no Asians on the streets. When I get to the busy marketplace, I hear people jeering at me. Indians go home, they say. I was shocked. But perhaps I was being naive. After all, just a few months ago, Black Ugandans began rioting, breaking into Asian businesses, and even beating some Asians to death. It was an ugly, racist reminder of a terrible past. I feel that tension in the streets, a clear resentment towards the Asians. And it's not uncommon.
It was a period of lacking of jobs because of they were dismissed by Idi Amin. I remember. But it was also good for Ugandans. And now after the Indians went, we started coming in Kampala, and we started working as you see. And when they came back, you see, Ugandans, we are lacking jobs.
They are consuming everything economically, so Ugandans are not doing anything. Each thing they are saying that the investors, they come as investors, it invest in a very local businesses which we can do. So that's why I don't like them.
Like my parents, GULZAR and AMIN'S SHIVJI had just married when they were kicked out of Uganda in that summer of 1972. Now they're back and running a very successful organic farm. But it hasn't been easy, and the constant reminders of the past have kept others from even trying.
As far as the returnees go, I don't think many have come back, because some with such good lives and such success stories in the West have not come back. Some have not even come to visit. I think that for some it was such a bad nightmare that they don't even want to come back and think about this country.
And there are times GULZAR's confidence is tested too. I asked her to come with me to the home she fled in 1972. She'd never been back. She was hesitant at first, but then she started reliving old memories. Her marriage, those few days in the house, and finally being forced out.
As I was just coming up here, I did remember my wedding day, being welcomed here by my mother-in-law.
Suddenly, the new owner turned up and was not happy. In fact, she was angry and wanted us off the premises right away.
Okay, we'll leave then.
But I'm just saying the fact that we are the owners right now.
We left. For GULZAR, it was the second time she's been unwelcome inside these walls. It's moments like this, the fear of what was and what could be again, that makes it hard for GULZAR and her husband to really consider this place home.
It cannot be forgiven. As much as you try, it cannot be forgiven. All right. And number two, at the very back of your mind, when you read a lot of things in paper nowadays, you say, is it ever going to happen again or not?
So will Uganda's Asian population have a future in this country? Will the two races ever be able to bury the past?
The Asian community in Uganda lived an exclusive life where they had been given a rank in our society as second-rate citizens. Of course, the British were the first ones, then the Asians the second-rate citizens, and the blacks were the third-rate citizens. They underrated the Africans. The Africans did the dirty work, when the Asians were here, working for the Asians. And some of them who have come back, I think, with the same mentality of thinking that probably they are above the African, they are still better business persons than the Africans. But then they found, I think, the situation is a little bit different. And so once in a while, these tensions are there in businesses and in the day-to-day life.
I would like to say here that
the ghost of Idi Amin still hovers over this city and country. Even though he's long gone, his son is very much here. TABAN Amin is a former rebel leader. He's now a major player in Uganda's secret service, the organization his father used to maintain his reign of terror. Some here predict the son could even be the president himself one day. I've been trying to meet with him for days. TABAN Amin is a big man, just like his father. Even looks a bit like him too. Finally, I was getting my chance.
My parents are they're Asians, and they were in Uganda. What they told me is that they were expelled from the country in 1972.
He never expelled them. He told them, listen, you people, this is Uganda, this is not Asian, because Indians were running everything in the town. You can't find a black man in a shop. You just find a black man, a boy, doing dirty works, and the Indians were the owner of the country, which is wrong. Nobody can let anybody come and joke in his land. So the old man told these people, okay, you have a solution, or to go away or to change your nationality. You see, this is the thing people don't understand. He never expelled them. He said, you change your nationality, you start your life also in the village, like everybody started. Then you come slowly and become a millionaire.
After a life of growing up learning to hate Idi Amin, What happened in my time together with his son came as a surprise to me. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Idi Amin was still in a state of denial about his father's abhorrent policies. But let's not forget what Idi Amin's legacy really was.
I think it was a most shameful spectacle on Uganda's situation. It will take many, many years to rebuild what he destroyed. That's the legacy, as far as I'm concerned, that I think of the man. If you talk to some others who, for example, benefited from occupying these Asian properties, then they say Amin was a wonderful person. Amin created an ethic that you don't need to work to get anything. And that is the legacy which he left for some of them.
Many Asians have returned hoping for a better life. But instead, there's a constant undercurrent of uncertainty, fed by feelings of resentment on the part of many Black Ugandans. And it seems to linger everywhere. I often look at that old wedding picture of my parents. I stare at their smiling faces and try to imagine the plans they must have had in Kampala. It has been a difficult struggle. My entire life, I've witnessed the quiet, yet very evident bitterness they share about what they left behind.
I would have loved to raise my family in Uganda. I'm still sentimentally connected to Uganda. I would love to go to Uganda. I have friends in Uganda. But there are things that are stopping me to go there. I am looking for security. There has got to be transparency. There has got to be accountability. That is where I was born, and once you are in Uganda, that blood is in you. And it's very difficult to explain.
Difficult to explain, perhaps, but not any longer for me. I've seen where the dream was lost. So many of the old divisions still remain, and that's sad. Uganda is a beautiful country, but it's still looking for its future.